We're going to go on to the next level of drumming, which is double strokes, one height. Now, the double stroke, sometimes called a diddle, is a skill that takes a little bit of work to master, but very important. And I'm going to take you step by step through the process to go from level 0 to professional and learn how to play really great double strokes. Now, one of the most important application of the double stroke is to play a full speed 30-second note double stroke roll, sometimes called an open roll, where you literally play 2 strokes on each hand. And if you go faster and faster with that, that's a 30-second note or double stroke roll. Two notes on each hand. Now, there's a process to go through. Most people can't do that the first time they pick up sticks. It takes a long time of working on the right stuff to develop your strength and be able to play that. So let's go one step at a time, because there are some very specific techniques that you want to employ and master to be able to do this well. The first exercise there I call power diddles. And all it is learning how to play 2 strokes on each hand. So if you've never done this before at all, then the first thing you need to do is practice playing right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, and develop the coordination to move back and forth between your hands. So let's use that exercise to illustrate the basic techniques and how you do this. Now, in the previous lesson, we talked about rebound stroke, where we worked on the concept of letting the drum throw the stick up. And we played an exercise called 8 on a hand using that technique. Well, when we play a double stroke in the beginning, the best way to think of this is it's the same kind of stroke, just there's only 2. But I'm letting the drum throw the stick up after the first note, and then I'm throwing it back in again for a second note. So sometimes people might go, and they don't let the second note come up high enough. You've got to let the stick bounce up and play 2 strong full notes. That's the first goal. 2 notes of equal stick height and equal volume. So let's use this exercise called power diddles to illustrate the steps in developing double strokes. Now, the first way to play this is it's slow. We're going to go slow, and you're just going to strive to play 2 equal notes, same stick height, same volume. And we're going so slow, we're going to stop the stick in rest position after we play the double stroke. So if I just played right, right, left, left, it would look like this. Strong and even. Watch your sticks, consistent stick height. Now, I'm not really letting go of the sticks per se. I mean, I'm relaxing my hand just a bit so that the first note can bounce back up. But I'm taking control of the sticks, and I'm playing right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. Now, let me explain why this is so important. So many times when people are introduced to the double stroke roll, someone will say, okay, it's 2 notes on each hand. Okay, practice that. And they go really fast, and they do what I call a flop roll. They just kind of drop the stick and let it bounce. It's kind of like one big accident. And they practice it a little bit, and if you practice a little bit, you can get control and make 2 notes happen. Practice that for a while, and then you can speed up. And you can make that kind of sound like a double stroke roll. And at that point, a lot of people will think, yeah, man, I can play a double stroke roll. Check me out. Okay, this is worthless. It doesn't do you any good whatsoever, because if you try to apply that double stroke in any other context, you will have no control over those 2 notes. So you've got to go slowly and gain control over both strokes of the double stroke. And this is where you start with the diddles. Very slow and high. Now, the exercise power diddles has a measure of singles, kind of like a check pattern to establish the flow of the rhythm and the stick height. Then you change to double strokes on the second measure. So I'll play this exercise a couple times through slowly. 1 E and ready, go. All right, so I'm trying to make all the strokes the same height, same volume, nice and even. Work on that. You can gradually speed it up. But there comes a point where when we want to go faster, we got to change techniques. So that's the first step. Slow individual notes, make them all the same height, get your right, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left control happening. Now the next step is to begin to play a faster double stroke. To play a faster double stroke, we have to really refer back to the rebound stroke even more. And we throw the stick into the head, we let the drum throw it up, and then we throw it back down for the second note very quickly. Now, the other thing that we've got to start doing is not stopping the stick at the bottom. So let me demonstrate this again. As soon as you finish that double, down, down, up, the stick's got to keep moving. Because when I play both hands together, my sticks are flowing. Now, there's another thing that's happening in there, and that is that as I introduced in the buzz roll section of a previous lesson, we've got to use this arm motion, often called the chicken wing. It's this forearm motion. Your elbow relaxes and kind of moves with your forearm, and you've got to get that all of that flowing together with the double stroke. So this is step 2 in developing doubles. Start here, hold on to the stick. Now when we play the double stroke, let that second note come up as high as the first, and then lift the stick again, up. I like to think of floating it. Float, 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 float. And when I lift it, it's with the arm. Arm. The arm is lifting. When it comes down, I'm using a little bit of wrist and just a little bit of finger here. Not this. This is bad. There's no power in that. This is like the tight spring on a trampoline. You see a spring on a trampoline, it's tight, and you try to pull it apart. It's got a lot of tension and a lot of strength. Compared to a spring that's all stretched out, well, if you do that, you're like that sloppy spring that's all stretched out. There's no power. So you got to keep those fingers curved and on the stick. The space comes in between the stick and the palm just slightly. That allows the stick to fly back up. And then my fingers are right there to throw it down again. So now I want you to notice that when I play this double stroke, I'm going to show you a shot from the back of my hand here, and I just want you to see how much I'm not letting go of the stick. Here's that medium kind of power diddle stroke. There's a little bit of space there. I'm letting the stick move, but I'm keeping my fingers on the stick, and I'm keeping them engaged in making the diddle strong. Even when I go faster. Now, it's a total misconception to think that to use rebound and use your fingers, you do this kind of thing. You know, that is not how it works. And you will not have power and control. You won't be able to go fast if you do that. And a lot of drummers will try to do that. This big finger thing. That's not really what's happening. It's this. Keep your hand pretty closed. These act like a spring. So hold on to your sticks. Getting that second note strong and as even as you can get to the first note is the secret. So we'll start here. Float, 3, 4. Float, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Just a little bit. Again, 2, ready, and strong. Let that note come up high. So sometimes the most common mistake is that people throw the first note in and then they don't let it bounce back up, and the second note goes duh duh. See how my second note is like this high? That's never going to work. You got to let it come up. Okay, now I'm going to show this to you in slow motion, and I want you to notice that here's me playing diddles at a slower speed, and I want you to notice that the first and second notes are pretty much the same stick height. Now if I go a little bit faster, you'll notice that the stick height difference between the two notes gets just a little bit bigger. So how am I keeping the second note as even? Well, you got to use your fingers. You got to use velocity and push that second note in and make it strong. Use the speed of the stick to make the second note even. Just the physical reality of the situation is as you go faster and faster and faster, you can't keep both notes the exact same height. That's just not the way it works. But even when I go very fast, you'll see that the stick height, the difference between the two heights gets even a little bit bigger. But again, I've got to work that second note with my fingers to make it strong and even. The problems come when that second note doesn't come up at all and it just flops into the head. And that's the flop roll that doesn't work, that most people do. I mean, the second note's like, an inch or two. I'm not working to get it up at all. So realize that and how your back fingers work on the stick to get it strong and even. And the arm motion is a very, very important part of that. So the next step, let's do right, and get this flow going. In fact, try this with me. Use this arm motion. The stick flows smoothly and continually. Now let's add a double to it. 1 beat and a 2 beat and a 3 beat and a 4. This is like 2 16th notes out of one beat. 1 beat, 2 beat, 3 beat, 4 beat. If you look at the power diddle exercise, we're basically playing the right hand of measure 2. And a 2 beat and a 3 beat. Notice the height and strength and volume of the second note. That's the key. And you can't get that height if you don't let the stick come back up. So you got to use your wrist and a little bit of finger and let that stick rebound. Let's do it again. Ready? Go. Now it's important to notice that the upward motion again is almost pretty much all arm. This is the upward motion. It's like a straight line. Now when I play a fast full speed roll, I'm obviously not moving my arm that much. I'm exaggerating this motion to just illustrate and help you get a feel for it, because when you get a feel for this slow and you can get this happening, then as you go faster and faster, it's real easy to just refine the motion and bring it down and make it of the appropriate size for how fast you're playing. But our first goal is to be able to play big, strong diddles. If I do them on my left hand, float, float, stick keeps moving all the time. It's really not that hard to do. Relax, keep your fingers on the stick, and just use the rebound of the head and make them strong and even. Now the next step is to put your hands together so we get this flowing, alternating motion. We can start real slow. I mean, that's kind of the way it would be slow, but medium tempo. Float, 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 float. I've got the arm motion going. I'm trying to make both notes strong and even. Forearms are in action. Big, fluid, open, strong diddles. I call those power diddles. And if you can do that, then you're on the road to a real double stroke roll. If you're flopping, you can't play big open power diddles like that. If somebody tries to do it and they're just flopping the second note, it's like they can't even attempt it. You've got to take control of that second note, get it up high, matching the first note as much as you possibly can. Now, when you're going slow, you can literally play both strokes almost the exact same stick height. I think there's maybe about this much discrepancy between the two. Now, as you go faster and faster, the distance between those two strokes increases a little bit. But the velocity of the stroke and the strength that you will have developed in your fingers and in your wrist will allow you to really push that second note and keep it strong and even, so you can play a very even, strong, controlled, rhythmically accurate roll. Let's go medium tempo power diddles. So that's the idea. Now you can play the power diddle exercise fast enough so that you can employ that arm motion. For instance, that kind of a thing. Okay, but I like another exercise for when you get up to this medium tempo and you're working your diddle strength. I like to go to another exercise called Diddle Isolation. It's the next exercise on the page, and this helps illustrate the next principle with playing rolls that's very important, and that is the underlying hand and arm motion that creates the check pattern. So if I use the same arm motion and alternation between right and left, and I just take away the diddles, I would have this. That's the framework, if you will. Now when I add the diddles, I want to keep that motion the same. The diddles make the rhythm twice as fast. It's a double stroke. I'm literally doubling the rhythm. So the exercise Diddle Isolation works just the right hand diddle, then works the left hand diddle, then works a 5-stroke roll, right, right, left, left, right, and then the long roll where you play diddles for the whole measure. So let's try that exercise at a pretty slow speed, about 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, for the 8th note check pattern, and then we'll add the diddle on each hand back and forth. So here's Diddle Isolation. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now the value of doing that is that you're practicing playing the check pattern, and then when you play the diddle on each hand, you've got to work to make that rhythm nice and even. Da-da-dum, da-da-dum, 1 E-N, 2 E-N, 3 E-N, 4 E-N. Sometimes when people play diddles, they just throw 2 notes into the head, and they're not rhythmically accurate. For instance, they kind of turn into triplets, or they're usually they're too open. Sometimes they're crushed, but playing this exercise as it's written, you really have to work to make the rhythm precise and the double stroke strong and even. And you can start at a certain tempo with your metronome and gradually speed up, and you're going to have to spend some time doing this and just working your diddles. I remember asking one student of mine who at one point couldn't play a roll at all, and then just a few months later was playing this incredible double stroke roll. And I remember asking him at one point, I said, "What did you do? How did you get over the hump to develop this speed?" He said, "I finally got sick of not being able to play strong, fast diddles, so I just got my metronome out and my drum pad on a Saturday, and I spent virtually all day long going from very slow, gradually faster. And I just worked those diddles. I was determined I wasn't going to stop until I could play fast, strong diddles." And he did it. You just have to do it. There's no shortcut. And so many times people want to go, "Oh yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got my roll." That's not it. You've got to develop strength in the diddles. You've got to pay the price to get that strength. Now, you can work one hand at a time like we were doing before. And as you gradually go faster, use those fingers, man. Dig that second note out and make it strong. And even when I start to get up to full speed, each double stroke, I'm really using those fingers. They are totally engaged in the stick, working to make both notes even. And the more even you can get that, the greater your roll's going to sound. There's one other exercise in here that is also very, very good to help you develop rhythmical control over the double stroke. And it's from a book called Stick Control by George Lawrence Stone that was published for the first time back in the early, I think around 1913 or something like that. I don't remember the exact date, but early 1900s. And it's still in print, and it's still a fabulous book. But there's one page in that book that's the very best page and very best exercise, technique development-wise, of the whole book. And it's been, people just call it stick control, because it's the patterns from this one page of exercises, and you'll see this on the website, but the first measure is single strokes, then the second measure is double strokes, just like we've been working on. And then the next 4 measures are just simply the inversions of a paradiddle. Now, a paradiddle, if this is new to you, is a simple rudiment we'll get into more later, but it's a 4-note rudiment that uses the sticking right, left, right, right, and then the next time you start on the left, left, right, left, left. So it's paradiddle, paradiddle, and then the left hand, paradiddle. That's a paradiddle, and we'll talk more about those later. But this third measure of the exercise you'll see on the site for the stick control patterns is, the goal here is to practice playing all the notes the exact same height and exact same volume. So you have 16th note single strokes mixed with 16th note double strokes, and you're going to work your control to get it all sound the same. For instance, the third measure, which is just a normal paradiddle, I'll play at kind of a slower speed. Trying to make every note the same, even rhythm, even volume. Sometimes people will play this and get... The diddle isn't even. You've got to work to make both notes of the diddle stroke even and smooth. Okay? Now the next measure, it's measure number 4 in the exercise, takes the diddle stroke and it puts it in the middle of the count instead of at the end. So you have right, left, left, right, left, right, right. I like to call it diddle in the middle. Ready? And right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E. Like that, okay? Then the next one puts the diddle on the beginning. Right, right, left, right. That one's kind of cool. And then the next one I like to call bookends, where the diddle is from the 4th note to the 1st note. Right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right. So it's... Now, you put those all together, those 4 patterns, you can play them straight through, all 4 measures. Sounds like this. So those are the 4 paradiddle stick control patterns that invert the paradiddle around. Now, what are you accomplishing by practicing that? Well, you have to work to be in control of diddle strokes and get the rhythm and the sticking patterns to flow smoothly. Each time I play a diddle, I'm using that motion, a little bit of rebound, getting that double stroke to speak, and taking control of the second note of the diddle. That's where the secret is, controlling the second note of the diddle. So now the next 3 measures of that stick control pattern exercise are cool, and they use triple strokes for 2 measures and quadruple strokes for the last measure. And that's just great practice, because you have to continue to use that consistent smooth rebound motion to get 3 notes. So if you can get 3 notes to speak, then it makes playing 2 notes evenly even easier. So the 7th measure, the 7th measure is right, left, left, left. Just try to get that 3 notes to flow. The next one is 3 rights. And then the last one is quadruples, which is kind of like the 8 on a hand exercise we played, but we're only playing 4 strokes. Now I'm going to play through the stick control pattern exercise all the way through. Follow along with me. 1 E and a, ready, go. There's another set of patterns that is the exact same concept, but it works within triplets instead of 4/16 notes. So that's a great exercise as well, but I won't take the time to play that one now. So we've got these 3 exercises we just covered, And the whole objective of those exercises is to help you develop strength over playing 2 notes per hand, that diddle stroke. And the secret here is relaxing, using that rebound to get that second note to come up, using your wrist and a little bit of finger to play the second note as strong and even as the first. Take control over both notes and practice slow and gradually speed it up. Also work that arm motion and get your hands flowing, because that's what you have to do when you go fast. So start practicing that now. In the next lesson, we're going to take that double stroke, go 1 notch faster, and apply it to the actual 30-second note roll context, and play diddles within 30-second note rolls and triplet rolls and all the what's called the diddle grids, so you can really develop your roll speed and your strength and control there. So good luck.